Dynamic Extra Encounters is now available in Baldur's Gate 3, and I'll be showing you some other mods to add even more combat to your favorite vampire and goth dating simulator, and do so in entirely new locations. I'll be showing you an entire guide on how to accomplish this. This is possible with the Dynamic Extra Encounters mod here made by Graphic Fade. Alongside the combat encounters, if you want even more fights, this mod's made by GabeCamomescro, and they even have one that is available on console with the random spawns. And you can spice this up even further with different mods that add maps for virtual photography, like this Rose Hill Cemetery, which just dropped today by Inkyplz, and they have a variety of different ones that fit very well. As you can see here, the vibes are immaculate. I loved using these different virtual photography mods just to go and see new scenery, but now that you can actually add actual combat encounters to them is just amazing. And the best part about the Dynamic Extra Encounters mod by Graphic Fade here is that it feels lore appropriate. Like, there are tethered fates for all the different characters in the game. For example, we just took out the Sharans, and we now have a Sharan novice that is hunting us down, and that's what you see right now. And here are the current features. So things like if you use your Lithida powers, the Githyanki will hunt you down. If you fight air or any type of elemental, you have a chance of spawning. An elemental if you end up doing more than 50 points of a specific damage type. Picking locks can even cause thieves to appear. One that I think is really cool, Echoes of Defeat. If you drop an enemy below 20% health, they'll leave, plot their revenge, and then come back with a vengeance. Becoming an elite mini-boss with unique items equipped onto them. And there's also a chance to get cursed items with this mod, and if you're using the Colors Custom Rarities by Forkirame, it'll actually have its own type of rarity. So by adding a few mods, you can get hundreds of hours of replayability in Baldur's Gate 3 because you can fine-tune these mods how you want. With the custom extra encounters, there's a lot of ways for you to get a completely new experience every single time that you play through Baldur's Gate. Like for us, we just cleared out the House of Grief, and now we have an entirely new combat encounter in this graveyard that actually makes a lot of sense from a lore perspective. Oh no, we got unholy assassins coming after us now, and yeah, this is the amazing thing about these mods, is it shocks you from times. I threw down a portal as well that's going to open up and have more enemies come in. And the thing is, you never know when you're going to get one of these encounters to pop up, because with some of them you can configure how they're going to work. Yeah, we're getting overwhelmed now. I put down too many portals, but they'll come in and then they just start combat here, and then you have a chance to be able to respond. And at any time, if this is overwhelming, you always have a little toggle here to be able to turn this off. Same thing with the Graphic Fades mod here, the Dynamic Extra Encounters. All of these here will have different toggles that you can set on, so you can fine tune your experience to what you want. And that's the beauty of it. Like, I have this entirely new location. I was able to do a huge combat encounter here, and it was all completely toggleable. So I had full control over my experience there, while also keeping that random element. The nice thing about the combat encounters random spawns like by GabeCamomescro and their other mod, the Random Spawns Comprehensive Difficulty Boost Patch 8, is that you have full configuration options. You do have to go to camp to get access to these here. So here's the regular random spawns generator. So you have a difficulty increase, which will bring up the challenge level of the bosses. You can also go and increase their overall health. You can increase the chance of having an additional combat start whenever you're in combat. You can give them all random buffs. You can duplicate the enemies, whichever one hits you first in combat. And then you can also do one where every enemy that hits you will duplicate themselves and make themselves even stronger. Ability mirroring, enemies can learn spells cast on them from their enemies and return fire back. So again, this just opens things up for almost an infinite amount of replayability. Anti-freeze will prevent the enemies from freezing so they can continue to end up attacking. There's the random spawns here, which, as the name implies, gives you the random spawns. Preset encounter settles this on to enable the author selected random spawns as you play. You can also have this happen with enemies that you've already encountered and have them show up. There's hellish effects you can add to this. And you can also have it so that they have enemy classes. So you can actually add custom classes to the enemies, which is super cool if you have a particular mod you want to see. Oh, we got a warning here, which is nice because this tells you how to either use the preset encounters or the encountered enemies for this to work. And that's for the non-light version, but the light version does have different abilities. Like you can have them automatically match your level. You can give them a damage boost or boost their hit points by 100. You can also have it so they'll duplicate similar to the other mod there. Have random effects there. You can also toggle if they're going to call for extra help from beyond the grave. You can give them random attacks. You can boost up their attacks, giving them more health damage or both. And they'll also be able to pick from different classes. You can have your resources get replenished after a fight, so you don't have to keep going and long resting. And then you can also modify the amount of experience that you can put onto the enemies. If you're on PC, I would recommend the combat encounters Lite here, but if you're using, obviously on console, the only one that's available is the random spawns. Hopefully we will see the dynamic extra encounters get added to console. It is a very large mod, so that does take some time. Another one I want to mention also by GabeCamomescro is the Restless Dead. So whenever you fight a combat encounter, sometimes they'll rise again and you have to fight a ghoul. So with these mods, the random encounters, you can actually force it to have a real encounter. So it doesn't have to be random. With these mods, they do have a timer that is set, like a 25d20, so it is actual total randomness. This can happen every 2.5 minutes or every 120 minutes. But we do have that portal trigger there if you just want to start a fight. And you can see here, the portal actually spit out a bugbear for us to fight against. So I'm using my mod here, the new Wild Spring Barbarian that I released last Friday. So you can check that out if you find this class interesting. But yeah, it's fun being able to come in and not know what you're going to be going up against in a fight. Like we have this bugbear that just spawned in. He had a wild magic surge that ended up causing some issues. Or not issues, but terrain on the ground. And the nice thing it is I had a pending cleanup here. So after 10 turns, the body will end up disappearing. So you don't end up like lagging your game out completely. And yeah, my mod does include an actual chicken that'll fight alongside you. And then you can fight the portal to take it out there and replenish all your resources. Now with the combat encounters Lite mod, you're going to use that create portal and cast on yourself. I had it so that it ended up spawning in these two bugbears copying from our previous encounter here. So you have full customization again to be able to do what you want with this mod. You just have to go to camp to be able to configure it. So really nice and easy, straightforward, and it works very well. And as you can see here, we're in an entirely new location fighting against a goblin. Now, I turned on some super difficulty options here and it tripled this goblin's damage. So it's actually hitting really hard, giving you the exact challenge that you want to have. So yeah, full customization options here just allow you to get a really fun way to play because it's not like you're just spawning in endless zombies to take down. You're actually fighting against some very difficult encounters. And we just took out one goblin and it ended up spawning in another one here. And this one is a savant here, so it's going to be able to learn spells from us and it's able to cast them out. It also had a wild magic surge upon arrival. Now the cool thing is that from the shadows toggleable will turn any of these, if you end up taking out an enemy here from any of these mods, it'll end up making them into these shadowy assassins that come after you take out the enemy. And they're even more of a challenge because they get a free attack against you. So it's really cool because sometimes you'll just end up a bunch of them coming at once. And there's literally nothing you're able to do about it. You just gotta roll with the punches. So yeah, that's another location with another bunch of random encounters here. So again, you got full customization here. There's a ton of different virtual photography mods out there to give yourselves tons of random encounters and endless hours of fun. And yeah, this means you can have turn-based combat in the Crimson Desert here. Now these maps are also made by Inkyplz, the wilds here, which if you are going against any of the pirates, you can use the random spawn encounters to be able to copy a pirate and then go fight against them here in this beautiful pirate themed map. But with the dynamic extra encounters, I'll go over some of the fun options here, like the sentient steel. So whenever you equip armor, there's a chance that it's going to come alive and you'll have to fight against it, the animated armor here. So yeah, just again, there's so many different ways. Like if you cast a spell and it does a bunch of damage, you can spawn elementals. And I forced an encounter with the fire elemental. I just had Gale cast fireball at the door there, which was able to trigger the elemental here to spawn in. So with every damage type but fire, you have to do over 50 damage, and fire needs to do 75 or more. And the fire elementals only have a 4% spawn chance and an 8% chance with the other damage types. But I was able to get a first attempt here, just blowing up that door. But it also did do damage to a few other things, so I think that may be what triggered it, but still amazing. And the best part, that random encounters from the shadows let you then, if you untoggle it and then toggle it again after taking out an enemy like you saw here, we're now able to go against multiple fire elementals and they'll keep spawning endlessly. And I triggered the elemental convergence again by zapping this here, getting us an air elemental to fight again. So yeah, you can get full control over this, or let random effects take course. And now we got the From the Shadows pulling both an air and a fire elemental at the same time, so that's the beauty of it. And they just keep coming. So that's cool because they do get a free attack against you whenever they do spawn in. So yeah, it's safe to say I had a pretty good combat encounter here. And again, the best part is you got the full customization, fight who you want, and then go and fight them again. There is so much replayability with the dynamic extra encounters mod here, plus the random spawns by GabeCamomescro. This combination is great. There's so many different things that can happen. Like again, with the dynamic extra encounters, you can have fights that happen after you long rest. You can dig up treasure and have enemies come after you. And there's even kobolds that'll come and loot the battlefield 10 turns after you end up ending combat. combat, or 10 minutes after combat ends. So you'll never have the same experience twice. It almost feels somewhat like if you're playing Skyrim or Fallout with the random events that can happen in that game, and it adds a lot to Baldur's Gate 3. So I'll have all the mods linked in the description. Let me know if you have any questions regarding these in the comments. I hope you guys all have a great day. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.